and we'll kind of get started. So this is going to be a fun presentation because we've been going nonstop for the last couple of months. And a few months ago, we come to this conference like every year. And a few months ago, Jonathan was like, hey, let's do a session together. And I was like, yeah, that's great. And so there's all this brand new Copilot stuff. And he builds things, and I learn things. And so I was like, how about we like get together and we can show people what you can make in Copilot Studio, and we'll come up with some fun stuff. And so we, both kind of played with our parts, and then we tried to put the session together, with his side and my side. And so this is kind of a fun collaboration because
she'll tell you the what, and I'll show you the how.
Yeah. And he left this because this isn't our session title, but I made this other session, and I do it a lot, which is that I did this Get Started with Power Virtual Agents. But Microsoft has rebranded Power Virtual Agents to Copilot Studio. So what's really fun is if you go across the internet, you're going to find, you can go to copilotstudio.microsoft.com, right? But you're going to find that across a lot of Learn, it's still going to say Power Virtual Agents in a lot of different places. So he left this to prove a point. Just remember that Copilot Studio is mostly Copilot Studio, but there's still a lot of Power Virtual Agents that are kind of sticking around, and that's just the naming. So if you see Power Virtual Agents, it's been rebranded as Copilot Studio, and they're enhancing it, and they're adding a lot of new generative AI and extensibility features and stuff like that. And it will load the deck out into the app, so you guys will be able to download it afterwards. So feel free to take photos, but we will put the slides out there, so you'll be able to get it afterwards with all the links. Okay. It's always crazy when I'm like on a big screen like this. So my name is Sharon Weaver. I have been in tech my whole career. I officially been getting paid to be in tech almost 30 years. I'm like another year or two. I think it'll be 30. I've been in SharePoint for well over half of that. When M365 came out, when Teams came out, it was just natural progression for me. And I learned all this kind of stuff, and then Copilot came out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. So anyways, as you've noticed, I have picked up a few different things and certifications and credentials along the way. Basically what this means is my entire hobby and spare time is Microsoft. I sit on a lot of calls, I provide a lot of feedback, I do everything but work for Microsoft. But it's fantastic because I love what I do. If you want to contact me afterwards, if you want to follow me, there's all my information. Feel free. I will absolutely do my best to follow up with you if you reach out to me.
I don't have a QR code, and I won't follow up with you, so scan her QR code.
And if you need it after, just come find me, and I'll get it to you.
I'm Jonathan Weaver. I'm a Power Platform developer. So I was QA for many years, got into the automated QA, and so I was building essentially workflows to test the software. And then Sharon said, hey, you need to come over and help me with this SharePoint Designer workflow because it's got a lot of logic in it, and I need help with this thing. And so I was like, fine. I came over and helped her with it and just didn't go back. So I've been in software development specifically for a little over 20 years, started with government contracting. That was horrible. She dragged me into SharePoint around 2013. And then I've been doing Power Platform since 2016 when it first came out, and it was called Flow. Power Apps and Flow. Power Apps did not have a space in it yet.
Totally different product.
Yeah, absolutely. The easiest rebrand ever. I'm a Teams MVP. You might notice the shirt. I present Microsoft Whiteboard, so that'll be tomorrow. I'm a logic workflow guy. I've got Rubik's Cubes in my backpack. That's my logic stuff. 2 Twitter handles. I don't really tweet much on either of them. Feel free to follow me. I will not fill up your inbox. There's my website, which is, I also have a blog. I think I have 10 blogs that ChatGPT wrote for me. I haven't published any of them yet. So, again, will not fill up your inbox. Feel free to message me. I might respond.
You can see how we work well together.
Yeah.
All right. So to start with, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what Copilot Studio is. So this is going to be kind of half and half, right? Half, what is Copilot Studio? How can I use Copilot Studio to create my own Copilots? And then the other half is Jonathan has done some really cool Copilots that he can show you some of the kind of neat ways you can use it in the real world.
Did you just say you're going to use Copilot Studio to create Copilots?
I am.
Okay.
So Copilot Studio, so fun fact, so now I want all of you guys to be in the know, and I want you to be accurate when you talk to people. So there's Copilot, which is Microsoft Copilot, capital C, Copilot, all right? Little p, no dashes, no spaces, all right? Copilot Studio, capital C, all right? But when we make Copilot, little c. Okay? So
Big difference.
big difference. You have to be real clear on this. People will call you out on it. All right? So Copilot makes Copilots, but Copilot has a big C, and once you make the Copilots, it's a little c. All right, this is the most important part of this entire presentation. Okay, so what is Copilot Studio? Copilot Studio, aka Power Virtual Agents, is a tool. It's a powerful AI tool. It's a tool that lets you build copilots, aka chatbots, right? So what used to be called chatbots, then called Power Virtual Agents, now is called copilots. And a copilot, aka chatbot, is something that can talk to you, right? So we're going to seed it with, if somebody says hi, it's going to respond with hi. I'll show you what that kind of looks like. So you can do all kinds of things, from questions to issues to resolving complex conversations. And I've got pictures because the internet was kind of wonky, so I wanted to be safe and make sure you guys saw this stuff. So in the old days, in the before times, way back in 2020, when I was programming this stuff, and I've been programming like little chatbots and messaging bots and advanced search functionality, all kinds of cool stuff, for a long time, way back in 2020, I would have to kind of guess what my people were going to enter so I knew what to give them back. So I had to vision into the future and be like, what are people going to want to ask? What questions do they have? What words are they going to say? Because if I knew all of that, then when people typed things in, whether it was search or Power Virtual Agents or anything like that, I could say, okay, so if somebody says, you know, I need this, then I would know what answer to give them. Okay, so I had to manually do all this. I would write it all out, I would understand what it was, and I would build it manually, but way back in 2020. All right, this is how they kind of started. And I want to show you how far we've come, okay? So before I would have prompt-driven responses. For example, they say hello, the response could be this, but everything had to be manual. So way back in 2020. It's been a long 4 years. So now, in 2024, the Copilot is so different because of AI, okay? We all knew AI was going to come into this. So now that we have AI, we can still enter manual questions and manual answers, all right? For those of you who get real excited about trying to read everybody's minds, you still get to do that. Don't have to take that away. But more importantly, if you don't have the next 6 years of your life to kind of figure out what everybody's going to ask and what the answer should be, you could instead use this fancy new generative AI. And what will happen is you can scope it to a location. For right now, out of the box, it's any public URL or any SharePoint site on the same tenant as your Copilot. Or you can upload, and this says coming soon, it's now here. We'll show you, this is how fast this is moving. So this actually exists now. You can upload specific documents, and then it'll hide it behind the scenes in Azure and make it available to your Copilot. So you can say, hey, I want you to use this specific content, and then I want people to be able to ask questions to it, and it will use generative AI to search through that content that you've scoped, and it will give them an answer back, in addition to any manual questions and answers that you put into it. All right? I mean, 4 years, guys. We went from manual question answer 100% to I can scope it to whatever content I want, and it's going to answer the questions. Okay, so all that manual work, a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy. Making a Copilot, really just as hard. This is I'm gonna teach you guys, okay? Hang in with me. It's a long ways, and it's a long time, and it's a lot of work. You go to copilotstudio.microsoft.com. You click on New Copilot. You give it a name, and you click Create. There you go. I know. You are all worn out from this training, right?
Yeah, watch out for that carpal tunnel.
All right, there is one proviso in all of this. If you understand Power Platform environments, you understand Power Platform environments, it will create it in whatever environment you are in. So if you're in the default, when you click on copilot.microsoft.com, it will create your Copilot in the default environment. If you would like it in another environment, simply switch the environment first, and then click the new Copilot button, and it will be in whatever environment you want. And you can create multiples in separate environments and manage them that same way. But by default, they're in the default, and then you just switch, okay? So I know this was really tough to learn how to make a new Copilot, but yeah, you just click New Copilot, give it a name, give it a language, click Create, boom. This is 4 years, guys. Like, look how far we've come. So can you imagine what jobs are like going to start existing in the next 5 to 10 years? Whew. All right. I put this in here for reference because I want you guys after this, you're going to be like, I don't remember what Sharon said. But basically what they've done is they've taken all the controls and set them over here on the left. And every time, I take a picture of this like every time I do this deck because they change like week to week. So you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, and then this is just the reference for which buttons do what so that you know when you go look at it, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to start clicking all the buttons and be like, I can't remember what thing does what. So first of all, here's a reference card. Second of all, a lot of the same information exists in Learn under Power Virtual Agent / Copilot Studio. Some of it's updated, some of it's not. So I've manually gone in and updated this myself to make sure it matches. And so they're trying to keep up with it as quickly as possible, but what you're going to find is if you go in there, some of that is just not updated, but it is there. So basically over here, you can look at the Copilots you have, you can look at the details about your Copilots, you can add topics, which is the manual chat that you can still do. You can do manual plugins, so if I want to manually plug into some other application. You can manage your data entities, you can manage your analytics and permissions, you can publish the Copilot, you can extend it, and so, for example, the demo we're going to do is you can extend it to Teams. And then the settings themselves, once you click that, you can drop it down, and there's a ton of settings for the Copilot itself. I'm not going to spend the whole session talking about how to build a Copilot, because he's got demos to show, but I just wanted to give you kind of a high-level intro to what Copilot Studio is, how to make a new Copilot, and some of the kind of tricks, tips and tricks and reference, so that when you go to do this after the session, you have something to go back and be like, okay, I remember how this worked. I know it's going to be hard for you to remember to click Create New Copilot, but I feel like all of you guys can do this. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Jonathan, and I'll answer questions while he goes, but he's going to show you.
That was only 15 minutes.
Yeah, we
You
got
need
plenty
to
of time.
stall.
We got plenty of time. We got plenty of time. We got plenty of time. All right, so he's going to show you some of the stuff that he's built, and it's going to be super awesome. And I'm going to move my drink over here.
We're just going to go, I'm not going to show you what I built. We're just going to go build it. Build new copies. So as she said, you go to copilotstudio.microsoft.com. Remember that one? Because if you go to copilot.microsoft.com, you don't get to the same place. I do that every time. I go to Copilot, I type Copilot, and it autofills .microsoft.com, and I'm like, great, there's no Copilots in here. Because that one is
it's
being
Copilot.
chat.
It's Copilot, not Copilots.
Yeah, that one. So, all right, so she told you that. The new Copilot. There's a whole button, new Copilot. So we're going to start with a real easy one. And please, for the love of all that is Microsoft related, give these things names that make sense. Do not name them Test Copilot, Test Copilot 1, Test Copilot 2. So we're going to do a comms vnext learn bot. And so we're going to do generative AI. We're going to use the learn.microsoft.com.
Learn's a great place if you guys are training and just learning how to use it, because it's public, but it's public content that is very well curated, and it has a lot of good content, so it's a really nice thing to scope when you're training.
And to create.
What?
You can add multiple, yes. In the advanced, you can add more sites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the question was, can you have multiple sites in your scope? And yes, you can add additional, as long as they're public, or they're in SharePoint in the tenant that your Copilot lives.
Was anyone timing that? I just created an entire Copilot.
Wait, I think we blinked.
Oh, it was, what was that, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, because I was talking? Now I have created an entire Copilot. So you see down here, hello, I'm CV and LearnBot, a virtual assistant. Just so you're aware, I sometimes use AI to answer your questions, which I would hope so, since that's the purpose of the AI bot. All right, so someone give me a question that we want to ask that would be answered on learn.microsoft.com.
Something Microsoft related is helpful. What do you want to know?
What is prompt engineering? And we are hotspotted through my phone, which only has 5G. But hey, look at that. Prompt engineering refers to the techniques used to design and structure prompts for language models like Azure OpenAI GPT models. Blah, 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 blah. And the cool thing that you'll see is right here, it references exactly where it got the information. So you can click the link and you can go out to the actual site that it got the information from and learn more about it. Or more importantly, when you submit this to your Comp 1 teacher, you have the cited reference right there.
How flipping cool is that? Like literally in a minute, he went from making a new Copilot, AI generative AI that goes out to learn and answers your questions. Like guys, you gotta like coding and APIs and whatnot that has to happen. But I do know that you can, and I have actually seen people do it.
So how many of y'all have ever started a new job and then they told you all the insurance stuff on day 1, and on day 5 you're like, who was my dental provider? Oh look, chatbot knows it's Delta Dental. And it can tell you exactly where to go find the information about it.
Yeah, who's our insurance today?
Right, yeah. We just switched again. We just merged with another company. That's yeah. Okay, so those are great.
There's a hand back there.
And that's all.
I see a hand.
We got a question. Absolutely. All right, so these are great. They're in the documents, but you want very specific answers for very specific questions or very specific key phrases. Back to the original, back to the 2020, hand coding things and questions and answers. No big deal. So we're in our chat bot. We've got our HR policy bot. We go over to this topics right here. And this is where we can create topics. We can create specific questions and answers. And we've got an option to do it from Copilot or from blank. We're going to start with blank for the moment. So we had a big question at place I worked about concealed carry because Kansas changed the law and said that concealed carry is now legal without a permit. And so all of our concealed carry types were like, can we have those in the building? Can we conceal carry in the building? Can we open carry? Because there was something about open carrying also. And so they immediately had to go create a new policy specifically around open and concealed carrying. So that would be a great opportunity here.
So you think about all those very specific FAQs that people ask the same question over and over and over. This is great for those. And one of the things to remember, I don't know if any of you guys remember keywords from SharePoint, but how keywords would override the search index. They had a weighting of like the most amount, so that would pop to the top. This is the same way. So if you think about it like this, generative AI is a semantic index. It's going to go look. It's going to pick what it thinks makes the most sense. It's going to bring back an answer. But if you use topics is like a guaranteed response. And so if somebody asks a question and Copilot isn't sure, right, which one is the answer, and there's a manual response, it will always give the manual response over something else. Right. Yes? Can you import a document like with you can use documents that have questions and answers imported? Yes. Yes. Yeah, the question is, can we import the questions and answers? And I do know there's a way to do it. I don't remember off the top of my head where they put it in here, but I know PVA had that option to import it, so it's just a matter of figuring out where they moved the button. No, that's Viva Topics.
We had that same conversation yesterday. I was like, I can do these topics. No, those are going away. No, these are not.
Bad,
those
yeah,
are.
bad naming. I believe so. So there is an analytics piece to Copilot Studio, and I know there's some basic analytics that you can see about who's using it and which things they're like asking. So I'm pretty sure there's a way. I think it has some of that, and I also think if you connect it like to Power BI, the graph call can come in and get some of that. But I don't know I'm going to tell you now, I don't know the full fledge of that. There you go. Thank you, Tiffany.
So,
Yes.
okay, cool.
Yes, there is a dashboard, to Tiffany's point. There is
just
some
build them, I
analytic
don't read back.
tracking. And my understanding from the team that's making this is that their goal is to really like move the needle in terms of really good analytics in a way that like we haven't seen in a lot of the Microsoft products in the past. So I do know that there's more coming to really help you guys with understanding who's using what they're doing, what you need to improve on. Already it's better than a lot of products have been.
So in the topic, we have to have a trigger and an action. Does that sound familiar from anyone? Power Automate, anyone? So our trigger is phrases or words. So in the example of the open or concealed carry, I put just 3, weapon, concealed carry, and open carry. So if you type any of those into the prompt, then it should trigger this, and the message will come back out. It says, well, let's look. Can I concealed carry at work? And so I created a message that says, open carrying is not allowed, concealed carrying is allowed. And that ultimately was the end result at that company. They have armed security guards at the entrance to every building, but you know, it's Kansas. So that's great. That's really basic, really easy. But we can instead make it a little more complex, because who doesn't like it to be more complex? So instead of this simple message, we're going to ask a question. Are you asking about the weapon policy? No, let's do a little more specific. This locked up our HR department for a month. Legit. Our HR department, this was all they were talking about. They had to take it to the board. The HR department was all, and the legal department both, were all over this. Or concealed carry.
Jonathan really likes to do HR examples.
Yeah.
No, that's an excellent question. So you're asking about like policy management and DLP and things like that. Like, does it honor those? Yes. Yes. So in Copilot, it will honor any compliance policy or DLP that you have set up across the tenant, as long as it's all configured properly. And the second question is, okay, what happens to the stuff that people type in for the questions? And I'm going to tell you, so I did a training for Microsoft a few weeks ago, and one of the product managers was in the back of the room, no pressure. And he said that when you type that stuff in, it is being tracked, it is being saved, it is behind the scenes. So, and they're working on how to handle that and how to make that more transparent. So when you type in things, it will honor the compliancy and the policies that are written, but just remember, whatever you type in is then being taken and put into a database somewhere. Just have that in your knowledge.
All right, so basically, when we make a question with multiple choice answers, it creates a switch statement. Have you all used switch statements? It's like an if, then, else, only It's just if this, this, or this in different columns. So what you can see here, I made the two choices. I said, are you asking about open carry or concealed? And the two choices are open carry or concealed carry. And so if they choose open carry, it goes down this path to this message. If they choose concealed carry, it goes down this path. So if I type weapon, because it's the shortest one, it's the fastest one to type, it gives me little buttons. Which one are you asking about? I'm asking about open carry.
There's a question in the back.
So when we set up these, they kind of come across that though they're more prioritized as an answer, it looks like it has less authority because there's no reference to a file. Is there a way to signify that?
I would assume that we can add that in here.
Yeah, so, and the best way to do it is, remember, this is the manual option, so you would have to manually then add, like, you know how in email when they've got like the footers that are created that then go out automatically, you would have to manually create something
I don't know if that's an
to
actual
be
website
part
or
of the
not.
response. In addition to the generative AI.
Right.
Yes.
So these are the primary.
Well, you can do just this, just generative AI, or both.
Cool.
Immediate. It's immediate. Oh no,
Well,
there's no indexing.
You saw it. I added the numbers and then went and asked the question. So it was that quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's as close to real time as you can get. I mean, it's milliseconds.
All right.
Question?
So, any questions on this?
Yes, because we played with that. It's all verbiage and link based. I want to say there's a way to do that. I remember seeing somebody play with that, but I don't know off the top of my head for sure. You might have to have a little bit more advanced. So once again, this is like the super duper basic out of the box, super easy stuff you guys can do today. Beyond that, what we haven't really even gotten into, and we're not going to really talk about in this session, but if you click on the other buttons and you talk about like the Extend Microsoft, where it says Extend Microsoft Copilot, there are all of these other things you can connect into it. You can use code in it. It goes to a whole nother level if you want it to. So it can do things, but you have to make it do those things. And out of the box, it's kind of limited to this stuff. Is that fair? Text and link based only, yeah, for this part. Correct. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I did a message real quick. Yeah, I just did a message to be real quick, but you can ask with an adaptive card here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll see some of this in just a moment.
Yeah, there's so many options in here. We couldn't show all of it in an hour if we wanted to. We just want to we want you guys to understand what it is, what you can do with it, what some of the basic options are. And because it's a Teams conference, see it in Teams in a minute.
Yep, we're almost there. So real quick, we're going to create a Copilot using Copilot. So
it's the ultimate inception of Microsoft, guys.
We're still in.
They're tapping a Teams team.
We're still in topics. Under create topic, we did from blank the first time. We're going to do the create from description with Copilot. So, of course, we have to name it. And so this one's going to be a training request. I mean, we are at a conference. How many of you had to submit a training request to get here or to get someone to pay for it? All right. So we want to ask the user for training event name, location, and cost. Not training. Training. We definitely want training. And respond with a summary. All right, let's see what that does. Building. That was pretty quick. All right, so the trigger phrases: request training, training inquiry, how can I request training, need training assistance, interested in training, training request form, where can I sign up for training, looking for training options, can you help me with training, and how to get trained. So first of all, I would not have thought of all of those phrases, so that's great. And then you see, question, what's the name of the training event? Identify the entire response and put it into a string. So we've got variables now. Where's the training event taking place? Variable. What's the cost of the training event? Variable. And we're going to output the message and check that out. It's the event name, the location, and the cost. So let's try it out. Training request. No, I didn't save it. Let's see if it's smart enough to know that I didn't save it. Oh, yeah, it's asking what's the name of the training event. Cool. Comms V Next, also known as the Churro Place. Churro Conference. We're having churros this year, right? Anyone? I didn't look at the menu.
Probably.
All right, where is it taking place? Denver. What is the cost of the training event?
Who needs a form now?
$200. And there's my summary. How cool is that? Now, the next step would be the extending it and having some advanced stuff that goes and takes that and puts it into SharePoint or into a Power Automate workflow to go get it approved by somebody, fill out a form somewhere. But we promised you some team stuff, right? So
I mean, it is a Teams conference.
it is a Teams conference. Yes.
So obviously what you guys are building right now is very simplistic. Right?
Absolutely.
Let's say I have a team of people that have been working on one particular Copilot for a year. What kind of management tools do we have, and what kind of collaboration tools that we have? Is there anything in there?
For managing the Copilot itself?
Well, let's just to go back and look at it. Like you did have this thing could be huge over the course of a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if I need to make a change or edit something? Like, how easily am I going to find it? And if I'm, working with a team of people,
Mm-hmm.
somebody else may have done something, but then it's asked to,
Yep.
let's say, me to do it, right? How am I going to find out what they did to make the edits? Is somebody going to see the edits I made? Is there any kind of provisions inside there to manage all that?
Yes.
Right.
So the question is, how easy is it to manage it, share it, go back in and update it? It's really easy. It's very similar to a Power App. Basically, you just go to copilotstudio.microsoft.com. You can share the Copilot with a person or group in your organization. They can then log in, and you simply can just go up here, pick the Copilot you want to go into, and then all of the stuff is right here. Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is a Power
I was trying to think if it's
Yeah.
in the actual
Yeah,
Copilot
the solution
Studio.
will be in your Power Platform admin.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that it's yelling at me because I didn't publish it. So we should probably publish it. So we're going to publish. And then we're going to scroll down to this configure channels piece, which looks a lot like an adaptive card. It's like the adaptive card team's been very busy over the last couple of years. All right, so we're going to click Go to Channels now that we've published. And this is where we find our teams and other things. So I did one that I published it out to the actual HR site. So if you go to the HR SharePoint site, then you can have the chatbot there, and you don't have to go dig through the site. You did have to get to the site, but you don't have to dig through it.
Yeah, so think about like what Google did about having just one search bar on the Google page instead of having navigation. If you go to an HR site and all there is the HR bot on the front page, and that's it.
I've been to 3 websites just today that had that experience. So you want to turn on Teams. That's the big thing. And then,
And click that open bot right there in the middle. Yep.
yeah, thank you. I was looking at that.
So while he's doing
availability
that,
button.
you can turn topics on and off. So you can kind of like mute them. You know, so like if maybe there's a topic that's not relevant, maybe it's Christmas in July and you want to leave it in there because you don't have to rewrite it every year, but you only want it to show up for 30 days. You can turn them on and off so that people can or cannot find them. You can also put this in and out of Teams so that you turn it on, add it to Teams, so you can take it out of Teams.
Yeah, use the web app.
And it really is this easy. That's why we want to do it live, because we want you guys to see, like, really, people are like, oh, no, it can't be that easy. It really is this easy.
Now, if you do have a whole team of people who are building a ginormous chatbot, it is not this easy, to be fair.
It's this easy to get
Whoever it
started.
was.
What's that game, Mastermind? A minute to learn, a lifetime to master. Oh, wait, I think I used to say that about SharePoint like 10 or 15 years ago.
All right, so you'll find it in the built for your org. I do feel like we skipped a step. though.
Yeah, you just have to click on the open bot, and then it'll,
This one.
oh, there you
We
go.
skipped this step.
Whoops.
Yeah, so we want to show it to our teammates and shared users, or everyone in your org. The thing to think about, though, if I click share it to everyone in the org, you have to get your IT department involved.
Yeah,
Because
an
they
admin
have to
has to
approve
accept
it
it.
at the back end to be available to everybody. And that is not always as easy as it sounds.
All back to permissions.
So show to my teammates. And then
Question?
sorry, one more thing real quick. So this right here at the bottom, visible in built by your colleagues. That's why we have to get through to this step. If this check mark isn't checked, then everyone else can't see it.
Bless you.
All right, what's the
Question.
question?
So Copilot Studio is included with any Copilot license. Right now, it's a free trial that, as far as I know, you can extend as long as you want. The official pricing for Copilot Studio, unless any Microsoft employees in here want to answer the question, I don't have an answer for right now. Is it $200 a month? I know it's kind of swizzled and changed around, so like don't hold me to anything. I know it's kind of gone all over the place. What I can tell you is if you have a Copilot license, it's included in your Copilot license. So if you want to, I mean, you want to know why $30 a month is worth it? Whew. Yeah, people
$1 a
ask
day.
me all the time, is that $30 a month worth it? I'm like, if nothing else, you get Copilot Studio. Are you kidding me? Yes. Question. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so the question is, when you give it a site for generative AI, do we know how it is? If you go to look in Learn, Learn explains how the semantic indexing works. So I would encourage you, I'm not going to explain it all right now, but if I would encourage you to go look, just go on Learn and search Copilot semantic indexing for generative AI, and it really does go into depth about how the semantic indexing works and how it prioritizes things. Nope. No. In fact, so in old school search indexing, which I used to talk about a lot, sometimes it would take a while for it because it had to get all the information, it had to index it, and then it had to do it. The really cool thing about generative AI is it's milliseconds to go get that information, come up with a response, and put it back on the page. And that's why it costs money. Mm-hmm.
Like when you gave it learn.microsoft.com, was that instant because they previously, that's a public website?
No, if they had gone in there and updated it while we were doing the session, the generative AI would have caught the changes almost immediately. I've done it multiple times. I've had people working beside me, like I'll have a Learn person working beside me. They'll update a Learn page, and I mean within seconds, it's already updating the answers. I can honestly say I've seen it. Like I said, go read it. Read up on it. Yeah.
I would say the same thing. It must do that. Logically speaking, from my brain, it has to do that.
It's magic.
Can you program this so like if the user starts cursing at the bot, it would give them a phone number for a customer service agent to call?
Yes.
Can I test
That's
that?
how I used to program my auto
Right.
Yeah.
Cursing at the auto attendant, you send them right to customer
Yes.
service.
I've heard that before
Yes.
on like most of those things have that. And so if you're yelling attendant, human, person, agent, if you just start cussing at it, it will automatically transfer you. A lot of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, between topics and DLP and policies, there's all kinds of different ways to do that.
So you could have a topic that has the list of words. And I'm not allowed to say the name of it in the session, but at the beginning of our development career, I had a friend that had a program that was 8 letters, the name of it was 8 letters long. It was 2 4-letter words, .exe. And whenever he got code snippets back from contractors, he would run that program on it to see if there was any language, any keywords in it. Yeah.
So you can make it so that if somebody tries to type it in, it will get stopped, but the Copilot will recognize that it typed it in and then respond with a, you can't type these words and here's somebody you need to talk to also.
You're frustrated, let me send you to customer
Yep.
service.
Yep.
Here's your phone number to call or something.
Yep,
Yes,
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. or wait an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Do.
There's also one in here that's called, what was it, escalate? So there's an escalate topic, and the escalate topic will, if you either it doesn't give you an answer a couple of times in a row, or you manually define what it goes to, it will automatically escalate to an agent, and it'll say, if it's all set up properly, let me send you to an agent. It will automatically dial it. Yep.
I attended a previous session that used sentiment to route emails into different boxes.
Mhm.
Your email box, the email box.
Yep.
And I feel like sentiment could be used on this
Mhm.
for the input that they're typing, and then use that as a trigger.
Yes.
Yeah, you could.
That is a more advanced session.
All right, so 5 minutes left.
So real quick, so I've been just chatting with the chatbots while you've been waiting, or while you've been asking questions. But one more piece I want to show you in here, I also have this Copilot button up here at the top. And that's just a general Copilot again. So from here, I can, again, ask questions.
Internet's coming. There it
Yep.
is.
So it has things, but I can ask questions, who is my insurance provider? Medical. See what it does. I mean, I already know the answer, but.
He pre-baked the cookies. So this is the overall Copilot,
we're
not the
putting it in the oven.
Copilot he built, but the product Copilot that lives on top of everything, which, by the way, if you haven't played with, super cool.
Coming through the yep, there you go, Blue Cross.
So instead of search across everything, they can simply go to Copilot, and instead of being like, I need to figure out where to go and what to search for, if it's set up properly, they can simply go to Copilot, they can ask their question, and it will give them the answer across all the content. But just remember, architecture, permissions, governance, et cetera, to make sure it works properly.
And this is where people are finding their governance problems. Someone goes into Copilot, looks for something. What's my social security number? Well, here's Bob's social security number.
Oops.
This
Yeah, what's the
what
CEO's salary?
is the CEO's salary? Right.
All right, we got a couple minutes left. Do you have anything else?
No, that's
All right.
the end of my list.
I wanted to leave a couple minutes. Does anybody have any more questions? It's been great. You guys have been asking questions as we go. Any last minute hanging questions?
I have some Smarter Consulting pineapple flavored chapstick. If anyone is interested, I have 8 total. It's in this app right here.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yes, the question is it we published it to Teams. So it's a solution package. It is its own entity. It can be placed anywhere and it can be linked to from anywhere. And this is just simply extending that particular bot to Teams in the Teams environment. Yeah.
That's a good question. Can you do that?
Well, you could put it in a team. You could put it in a channel. I see you I see you eager, so yeah, you could put it in a team, you could put it in a channel, you could put it in a SharePoint site. How does it know who to talk to? I would honestly tell you that's going to be around permissions management and content architecture. So I would not architect the Copilot to do things. I would architect behind the scenes for your content and your permissions to be set up properly so that when you lay the Copilot on top, it just automatically does what it's supposed to do within the boundaries of the permissions in the content architecture you've defined. And it's going to work a million times better if you do it that way.
Also, I neglected to put the sponsor slide in here, but make sure you go talk to all the sponsors, thank the sponsors. Without the sponsors, this event would cost way more.
Yes.
And maybe not even happen. So make sure you go see all the sponsors, all the vendor tables. There's some great swag out there. I got this cool little lens cleaner from someone. It's like, and it's attached, so I can't lose it. How cool is that?
All right. Thank you guys so much for coming.